Hey guys, it's Kevin with Mix Coach. We are mixing a song this month on Mix Coach Member. It's called He's Always There. It's from an artist named Noah Henshaw, and this is a record that I produced about a year ago or so. I think I'm losing track of time, and I was just going to let you hear this song and show you just a couple of things that I did to this mix. I call this kind of a walkthrough tutorial, because it's kind of a walkthrough of my mix and it's kind of showing you a couple of things. So I think what I'll do is play the song for you, and then I'm going to open up some of the tracks, let you see what I've done, and then clarify a couple things on the back end, and we'll be done. All right, so here is He's Always There, Noah Henshaw. If you don't have this record, it's definitely worth a listen. Take a look, or I think so anyway. I think Noah's a great songwriter, and he's got a bright future in front of him. So here's He's Always There, Noah Henshaw.
All the pain, all the tears, all the heartache for all these years, all the questions that do not have an answer. All you can pray is why. Outside the door of the hospital room, he's waiting there to see you through. He's everywhere that you don't wanna be. At the graveside when your loved one dies and it feels like you just can't survive, and he's wrapped his loving arms around you. When you fall into the ground and your burden keeps you down, and it seems like you don't have a prayer, he's always there. When you're broken and you're torn, when you're tired and you're worn, when you want to abandon your castle in the sand, it's gonna fall, but on God's solid rock I'll stand. Outside the door of the hospital room, he's waiting there to see you through. He's everywhere that you don't wanna be. At the graveside when your loved one dies and it feels like you just can't survive, and he's wrapped his loving arms around you. When you fall into the ground and your burden keeps you down, and it seems.
Okay, so that's just a little bit of the song. Now, the first thing I want to bring up is this. When you're doing a mix, because as I mentioned, I did this well over a year ago, if not 2 years ago. And the thing I have noticed about this is that I used a trigger from Slate on the snare. And if you rewind this video and you listen back to when this yellow light was not on, that is actually the mix as it's being generated from Pro Tools now. Now, so a couple of things I want to mention to you. First of all, is what I think I've done right is something that you need to do too, and that is always print a copy of your mix inside the song, because when you open up the song in 2 years and you go, wow, that mix does not sound the way I remember it. And I'll talk about the second thing in just a minute. You will have something to go back to. And A/B, now the way I've got mine set up is I've got my mix run out the main outputs, by the way. So they're running through one set of outputs on my Apollo. This is running through the virtual output, so I'm not hitting my mix bus twice. And then, so like just say an artist comes up to you and says, hey, in that mix we did 2 years ago, 5 years ago, I want to do the same mix except I want to raise my vocal a little bit. Well, if you're depending on your Pro Tools session to be exactly the same as often as plugins are changing and as fast as fads happen with, the newest trigger, the newest sounds and stuff. And you need a reference mix. So what I do is I print my own reference mix within this. And a lot of times I'll do a playlist of mixes. Sometimes there'll be a Always There mix. Sometimes there'll be different iterations of it, like vocal up, vocal down, whatever, inside these lanes of audio. So my first tip to you is always print your mix, even as you go, even rough mixes, even the day you track it, the day you do your vocals, the day you're sending it out for overdubs. Always print a mix inside your session. You will not regret it. On some of the work that I do, we'll decide at the last minute, hey, I think we want to do an overdub on this song. And now it's just as easy as exporting this mix and getting someone to overdub it and not having to run a rough mix. You keep a rough mix going at all the times. So that's tip number one. Always print a mix inside as you go, always print the mix inside, okay? Second thing is the problem that I found just then when this yellow button wasn't on. And that is, I was using triggers on the snare. And the lack of that trigger made my snare drums specifically, sound really thin. Listen, I don't know what's going on exactly. I think this is the, let's see. I had a trigger kick and a trigger snare, and I bypassed them. And I think what I was doing is sending out a send from the kick and snare. Yeah, trigger kick and trigger snare. And they were going to trigger kick and trigger snare. And these are the ones that were triggering the Steven Slate trigger. And if you look, if I unbypass these, I bypassed these last night as I was thinking about doing these walkthrough tutorials. If I open these up and you look, this trigger has no samples in it now. And I can't remember for the life of me what the sample was. So now I'm in a predicament because now I don't even know how loud the snare was unless I go back to this reference mix. That's where I'm glad I printed a reference mix, because now I can make it sound just like this mix and he'll never know that I've lost the snare. So my second tip is always print your samples. I mean, I don't do this as often as I should. When you tune a vocal, print the tuned vocal. With no other effect on it, just tune it. And when you're doing kick and snare, when you're triggering drums, print them. Don't depend on your trigger program to always remember what you used. I think I may have changed hard drives, and now that it can't find the sample, I've still got them, and I'm pretty sure I know which ones I used, but they're not showing up now. And if I didn't have this mix down here to reference, I wouldn't have known. I was just thinking I was having a bad snare day, right? Well, as it turns out, I am having a bad snare day now, and I wasn't then. And now I know because I listened to this mix. So there's two tips. First tip is always print a mix inside your Pro Tools session. Whatever part of the process you're in, print the mix. You'll be glad you did. Second thing, speaking of printing, print your samples, or at least document down here like I didn't do. This is me learning the hard way. I'm always learning as a mixer. I'm always trying to get better, and hopefully you'll learn from my mistakes. At least document what it was down here. I am terrible at documenting stuff, but if you print it, you won't have to. So there's a couple of tips on this particular mix. Hey, if you want to mix this song, join my members at mixcoachmember.com. Join up there, and the month of July 2017, we are mixing this song from Noah, He's Always There. If you're a member, the files are in your account. If you log into Mixcoach Member and you're a current member, your files will be there, and you can look forward to tutorials, Q&A sessions, and so forth and so on. Okay. Sorry, I'm making up words as I go here. So anyway, I hope this has been helpful. Let me know in the comments section, and come join us at Mixcoach Member. Okay. See ya.